Hello, fearless gamers, and welcome to another episode of With the Fearless. I am Matt, and today I'm joined by James. Let's see. You gotta speak so I can see if anyone can hear you. Hey, that tells me no one can hear you. 1 minute. Let's see if we can get this going. Technology, as they say. Always something on this thing. Yep. Let's see. Audio capture output. Let's see. Speakers. Okay. And unfortunately, no, my desktop is still not saying I cannot hear anybody. Like, I can hear you guys just fine. Huh. Weird. Very weird. Let's see. Only. Okay, now what is going on that makes this not want to hear anything? Uh, no, it's like it has it up here, but for some odd reason it's like I don't want to play the audio from this. Sorry, folks, having a little bit of technical difficulty. We will be right back when I figure out what's going on here, so hold on tight.
Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Very good.
Can't complain.
So, let us start this off right again. So, hello, fearless gamers, and welcome to another episode of With the Fearless. I am Matt, and today I am joined by James, and we have a special guest with us today, Chris. How's it going?
Hello. Good, you?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. So before we kick into the episode proper, little bit of news here that I got. A source that I will remain nameless seems to be implying to me that the price of the Saturnine box set for Age of Darkness will be around $315.
Oof.
Right now, that is in line with the current box set, which is $315 on the website. And that is going to replace that box set, so it's not going to be a limited release run. It's not going to be, while supplies lasted. It's going to be a inline product.
How many miles are in that?
What?
How many miles are in that one?
50. There's 50 models plus the rule book, quick rule set, dice, templates, and measuring sticks.
Not the worst proposition
Yeah.
from GW then.
It's the new Dreadnought, 6 of the new Terminators, a sentry gun, the really big one, 2 Praetorns, 1 in Saturnine Terminator armor, 1 in Mark II, and then I want to say 40 or 30 Mark II Marines with enough disintegrator guns to make them all disintegrator gun armed troopers.
Oh wow, it's a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, with that, going on to the title of this video, I had finally tried out a game of Battletech. And I know James has been gearing up for this because he's been like, oh, you gotta try Battletech. Ah!
Well, to get Battletech on it, what type of Battletech did you try? Classic Battletech or Alpha Strike?
That would be Chris's.
Classic.
Classic Battletech.
We did a Matt, was that the mission one?
Yes, that was the mission one where it was you, me, and Nick against Jack and Andrew. We had to go across the board, find which thing had the data, scanner the data, and then run off the board.
Yeah, so it was
Classic.
classic. It was a 3v2. The 3-sided thing. We basically we capped them at like medium mechs, and then the two players were able to take heavy mechs, and I think it was it 3,000 points per person?
Something like
DV,
that.
I think it was. Yeah, so it was if I remember correctly, it was all the intro mechs on our side. It was a Wolverine, a man, I have to look back, but it was basic stuff. I know what. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know there was a Shadowhawk.
There was Wolverine, the Shadowhawk, and I forget the last one. And I know on the other side it was an awesome, because that thing, I dread.
Let me see.
I dread going against. And then,
I think you had an awesome and a war. Based on the pictures I saw, because I'm a nerd at this, I think you had an awesome and a Warhammer.
Yeah,
against,
that's true.
And, and it's Shadowhawk, Wolverine, and a Griffin.
Yes. Yeah, I
the
believe
Griffin's
so.
hard to tell because the Griffin looks kind of the same as something else. But
Yes, yeah. My buddy who's listening to the podcast, Jack, he just chimed in. It was a Griffin. Yeah, it was a good time.
Right.
It was a fun game. It was from a mission pack. I forget the gaming group that puts it out, but it was like a little bit of a different mission pack than what's in the books or whatnot. But it was fun. It was like our first real experience with not just like, okay, put the mechs down and blow each other up, last man standing type thing, which is fun too. And it was a good time. Yeah.
It's Jack calls it the Holy Trio.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good trio of mechs. But no, the reason I said to get out Battletech and ask for type, aside from Alpha Strike and Classic, one of the big things that people say about particularly Classic Battletech is like, okay, which not literal version first said whatever, but like which how hardcore were the rule, like, because you can throw so many. It's it's GURPS, but for miniature gaming, because you can really get it as crunchy as you want, or you can get it as light as you want, or play Alpha Strike.
Yeah, we did the basic rules, like the full, like the game of armored combat rules. So we had heat, we had ammo, we had all that. We put in, I believe, glancing hits.
Yes, we were trying glancing hits.
Yeah, which just makes things a little bit more lethal, and I think that was it. I don't think there was any additional rules there.
Yeah.
Generally we try and put rules in that makes the game a little bit more lethal, because Classic can go
forever.
Yeah, can. So like, just it really can, which is fine. Like I like that. But
absolutely.
Some people are like, I have a wife and I have kids, or I have pets, or I have bills to pay. I have to leave at some point.
Yeah.
So.
I've
it was good.
I've always looked at Classic Battletech over Alpha Strike because I got into it. Like, I have the 4th edition starter set, so there was no Alpha Strike back then, so it was always Classic. But I always looked at Classic as, I always called it the stop motion animation of miniatures, because like stop motion animation's so cumbersome to get going, but the end product is so cool looking.
Yeah.
And Classic Battletech is kind of like that in the moment, but when you take a step back and realize what you did, you're like, wow, that played out like a movie. or like the lore actually says it should play out, and it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm aware of like Alpha Strike. I actually have never played it. For me, like I guess that crunch and granularity that's with Classic is what I really like. So I have nothing against Alpha Strike. It looks cool. I will eventually get to playing it, but for right now, Classic is hitting all the right buttons for me.
Yeah, Alpha Strike is meant to be the way they put it out. So it's, instead of having a huge record sheet, you have a card for each mech.
Yep.
It's meant to be able to play a game bigger than a Lance or a Star. Like, it's meant to play more like miniature wargaming size, which would take like all year in classic Battletech. So they did that. But that's cool. That's cool. So I guess Matt, how did it compare? Because you've played a few different war games, more than I think I have. Like, you've done War Machine and stuff like that. Where would this fall in?
I'll say that my first major impression of it is it can be a little like whoa in your face with like all the rules. Like when you sit down and someone goes, okay, this is your movement, this is your shooting, this is yours, and it feels like, okay, whoa. It actually, during that game, Jack was telling me everything. I was like, Jack, shut up. Let's do this as I play the game. And surprisingly, once you actually start doing it, like pretty much after the first round, I was like, oh, I know how movement works. Like, even though there's a lot to it, the rules are simple enough where you can catch on very quickly, which is very nice. And there wasn't a whole lot of, wait, how do you do this again? Like, it was pretty quick to pick up on, which was nice. And the hex board actually was very different from a lot of the other games that I played. And I kind of like that because you had to play with it with facings. Like, I think it was a little nicer to do in terms of like how facings work in the game. Out of all the games that I've seen where it's left, right, run, it handled that, I think, a little better because it had the hex spaces. There's a little less argument over which side you're on. And it was very intense, I'd have to say, with the mission parameters going there. Like, near the end, we were like, oh, crap, come on, go. And it kept going back and forth. We're not going to make it. We're going to make it. We're not going to make it. We're going to make it. So
we lucked out. That was a good mission for all of us. We had varying levels of experience playing that night. Our friend Jack is probably the most experienced. And then I would say far behind that, it would be me second, and then Nick was playing.
Mm-hmm.
It would be after that, and then you were the newest person playing. And that was a really good mission. The one thing, like, just real quick, going back to the rules of Battletech, there's a lot to it, but I always feel that one of the strengths of Battletech is that the rules that make sense just make sense.
Yes.
Even though there's a lot of granularity to them. They make sense. You understand them a little bit because it's. I remember reading an article when I started playing BattleTech about the creator and how they wanted to create more or less like almost like a VR type sensation with the game and almost like a simulation, and you get that feeling. Things make sense when you do them. It's a lot. Hey, do you want to add weather? Sure, we could do that. Do you want to add underwater fighting? Yeah, we could do that. Do you want to add like some crazy number of weapons and all this? Yeah, we can do that. But so far, my experience, and again, it's just been the Armored Core instead of the Armored. We haven't gotten really deep into like the advanced stuff. It just makes sense. So it's a lot, but you get it, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and like I said, like when you're getting told the rules, it just feels like someone's throwing books at you and going, learn. Once you actually play the game, it's like, oh, I understand how this works.
And that's what's really cool about it, right? Is that it's Shrek, right? It has layers.
Yes.
So like if you like you said, whether like you guys had, I believe all those mechs on the medium side had jump jets. Like if you want to go crazy, you could death from above and decide to completely ruin yourself and hopefully hurt the other guy. But
we actually had a scenario where Jack kicked Nick, and it was like, oh, because I'm elevated, I directly hit him in the head, and
Yeah.
like they.
Yeah.
times.
And
Yeah.
I also liked. It's been a while since I played War Machine, but I liked where damage made sense based on where it was attacked from. So, like in War Machine, it was like, oh, you got hit in box number 1. For one Warjack, that could be your arm, or it could be your head, or it could be your leg. In every case, it's no, the arm affects the arm. You know what the damage is going to affect before. Once you roll the chart to see where the damage went, you already have an idea of what it's going on. So it's a little less random because everything's the same. It's 26 will always be the arm, 10 will always be the head, kind of a deal, which was a nice kind of feature. Because like
that's the next.
Yep. Sorry.
I think no, it's okay. I think for new players, one of the first things you learn, right, is Gator.
Mm-hmm.
Like like Gator. Like, okay, this is my firing solution, and you learn that. That's like, I think the first thing you learn. You're like, okay, boom. And then I think the second thing you learn, just by numbers, is like you said, hit locations. Oh, I rolled this. Okay, that's going to be here, and you know exactly what you're dealing with. I think, and probably like I think later on you can kind of randomize crits and stuff like that, so it's not as okay. Like I think with like floating crits, I think that's what it is. I mean, he could probably you probably know more about it than me. But even then, if like the game becomes too standard for you, where you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen, you can throw a wrench in things and just add a rule that's like, oh my god, the game is completely different now.
Yeah, you could do all that, and then also I don't know how much it came into play during your combat, or if you guys have been using it, but like ammunition, not just counting it, but if it takes a crit and all of a sudden the mech is now a crater.
That happened in the game afterwards you guys played, wasn't it? Like game 1, it was like I shot him in the head and blew his whole mech up.
So the next week we played a game. It was actually really cool because we've been using the Tukiad maps, and it's the map where it's like huge, like almost like level 11 canyon, all the way down to like level 1. So you start off in the corners, and it was the same deal. We did a 2v3, and the first shot, boom, hits him in, what's the location? 12. So that's a head. And he was using what was it, Gauss?
Yeah,
so
it was a Gauss weapon.
That's it. And it was an awesome. And and it was an awesome too. So like I said, like I love the awesome. I love playing as the awesome. I get agita
one of my
when
favorites.
and I get agita when I see it, when I have to fight against it. And for that to get wiped out one shot, and again too, it's a pretty good approximation of what can happen on like the battlefield, I guess. Yeah, it was crazy, and that was another great game. Less swingy, because I'm not gonna lie, like losing a mech like that, turn 1, shot 1, is. But it was a good time. That was
one also kind of funny interaction, at least for me, in our first game was I was slowly making my way towards the objective, and they were like, why don't you jump? It's like, my jump is 2. They're like, what? It's like, I can't jump far.
Yeah, the poor little guy. But yeah, and Case, yes, learn. I see in the chat there. Learn about Case. Case, cellular ammunition storage equipment, so nice.
Yes.
It's so nice. It's I hate that I know that. Just I can see when I see Case, that's one of the first things, like anywhere. That's one of the first things that pops in my head is cellular ammunition storage equipment. Also, Tukayed. Is that how you say it? I've never known how to say Tukayed or Tukayed.
I've always pronounced it like, so I just pronounce things usually like, so I just said Tukayed. And
yeah. Well, I just because I never could, but just as a clanner, you just spoke profanity, just so you know. Because
I hate that. Once we get into like, if we start talking about the lore and all that, I'm definitely clan side.
I'm definitely clan side of things as well. But and they have the nice thing about that is learning about, and Case brings it up, is that their Omni mechs just have Case built into the chassis. You don't need any extra equipment. It's just there because they're technologically superior. But and it's not even like a joke. Like they grow people. I mean, they're technologically superior.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, these are it really is like one of those things, like how there's no good guys in like Battletech and other. It really isn't. Like clans. They might have cool tech, but man, I would not want to be living in. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, there's no even the de facto good guy of House Davion isn't really that good.
No, they have
Like,
there's some glaring.
if
Yeah, no,
if
it's definitely
it's
yeah.
like if
that,
you look at like the text conversations we've been having, because recently I picked up a BattleTech box set to paint up for
Nice,
some minis. The Inner Sphere Security Lance.
nice.
Um, I was talking to James like, oh, so we got to pick a faction to paint these guys, and every time he's like, well, what do you want? Well, what about this, this, this? I go, oh, A, B, C, D, and he goes, we don't do that here in this game.
Nope, nope. Yeah.
nobody's very nice.
No, no, no.
Now,
It
don't
really
get me
isn't.
wrong. Like the Lyran Commonwealth,
Everybody does war crimes. I think
Yeah,
was
pretty
one
much.
of
especially House Kurita, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Even like even like I would say like the shining good guys, like not even like shining good, but the shining golden boys, like right, like Clan Wolf and like the Dragoons and all
Yeah.
them, not good people.
No, 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 no.
Yeah,
Clan Wolf, no.
no.
Which funny because you said Clan Wolf and Wolf Dragoons, and in the timeline where it was called the Ill Clan era, and like part of doing that, Clan Wolf betrayed the Wolf Dragoons, so the two goody goods got on each other's, butted
Yes.
heads pretty bad.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, and goody goods is a very loose and fast term, but
Yes.
we don't
but,
do that here.
It's
No,
like
yeah,
who's
they-
it's like who's committing the least amount of crime.
yeah.
Whose war
Basically,
crime was the
they-
least offensive?
The
Yeah.
memes are like House Krita stacks up war crimes because it's what they do. House Liao is always at fault. They're always the bad guys doing something wrong. and then the Lyran Commonwealth just defend their borders and scout with atlases because that's the joke. And then, Davion's like, we're the de facto protagonists, so you're the good guys. Protagonist, there's a difference.
Yes.
So-
It's very generous. Yeah.
and then Free World League of House Marek is like, well, we have another insurrection to deal with. Give us a second. And it's just like, okay, this is weird. And then Comstar's
Yeah.
like, we're not the Mechanicum. We're with the Mechanicum, which they were. And then it's just, it gets really weird.
Yeah, like my like my background is mostly with 40K for the most part, and it's the same thing where there's no good guys in 40K.
No.
No.
You know, I mean,
No.
I could make the argument that orcs are because orcs are just doing what they love, and
Yep. They're not
Okay,
no
you know.
malice in what they do.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes, but
In the terms
Orcs
of
are-
like they're not sitting there going, we're gonna rule the galaxy, you know. They're just like,
No,
we're gonna
but
have a fun
orcs-
fight.
I was gonna say orcs are genuinely enjoying themselves, which is
Yep.
Yes,
terrifying.
it's very terrifying.
Yeah, but you know, in BattleTech, like, you know, 40K, there's only war, right? Like
Yep.
that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. But in BattleTech, it's war is more just like a way of life. There's definitely like,
Oh, yeah, there's arts. There's everything.
yeah, there's more, but it's also such ingrained in like the lore and the culture. You know, what it means to be like a mech warrior is like almost like a like an old school type of a warrior, like, or a knight like type of
Yeah.
thing. And you know, they have like these, like, I mean, they have like the arenas where they go and they just basically have like a fight to see who's the better pilot, like this very old school mentality. So yeah, I mean, like 40K is like there's only war, and that's pretty accurate. And then
Yeah.
with, and then with BattleTech, it's kind of like war is a way of life. It's like a weird like little. It's a difference, but it's the same level of intensity. It feels like at times because it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
I guess
Yeah,
one
it's-
good
it's-
way to say it is, to a degree, in 40K, you can go somewhere where someone hasn't experienced war, where it's probably
hasn't.
yeah, hasn't. Like, there's usually a planet now and then where, nothing has happened yet. Like, there may be
Probably,
someone
they
there
have-
who hasn't
They may not-
experienced war in their
yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah.
They may
Um,
not have a direct experience, but
yeah.
they're contributing to that
yeah,
war machine.
but like
Yeah.
one of those things, like they know there's a war out there, but it's never hit them at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah,
in
and you could definitely say that about BattleTech though. There's definitely areas of the
Oh, yeah.
galaxy that are just like, yeah, nothing's going on.
okay,
Yeah.
Especially like
Yeah.
and that's what makes it pretty cool that way. But like as far as like the rules go, you're saying how like it's one of those rules that you have like reading it, you're just like, oh my god, but when you start throwing dice and moving, you're like, oh, cool. Like and to kind of
My
prop
son
them up a
Vinny, I'm
little.
sorry. Yeah. Go on. I'm sorry.
To
My
kind of
son was
prop
just
them
made
up a little bit.
Yeah.
They the BattleTech, the classic BattleTech game, the rules package over multiple years won multiple Origin awards for its rules. So
Okay.
like it's an Origin Awards winner multi times over, like 3 or 4 times, because of that. Like yeah, it's crunchy, but you can get into it pretty well, and it portrays everything quite nicely.
One thing that actually, talking about it, that that I found very intriguing is whenever while we were playing, and this was even with some people in the group that are very open about rules, there wasn't really a time where someone went, "This rule is stupid," or "Why the heck does this
Uh,
work that way?" Like,
um, yes. But we did have that a few times. We did have that one time, the water rule.
oh,
So, so basically, like, I'll just go over it real quick as I understood it, is that when you're in mechs are generally considered level 2, so like 2 stories high. And if you're in like level 1 water, and now you go to fire, right? And you hit it, and then you go to the hit location, and that area from the waist down is underwater, you don't take any damage. Because you're in water, right? And that rule kind of rubs like that was a contentious rule because basically we were playing, you know, a classic just blow everything off the table type thing. So if the person wanted to, they could have stayed in the water and had a huge advantage. Whereas in a mission, you really can't do that because you have to move out of the water, and the water itself has disadvantages because it's slow to move through. If you get knocked down, there's a chance like you could like your chute could like spring a leak and you could literally die, and like there's like all this other stuff that happens with water. So there was
does
that, but just in that small like case, we did have a few. We had a little bit of a disagreement on that rule, but it is what it is.
but like it was more like a no one ever sat there going like, no one sat there going, "Why does the game work this way?" kind of a deal. Like there was never this moment of,
No, for the
"Oh,
most part,
this
no,
rule is so stupid. This rule is kind of broken." Um,
no,
and also, quick, doesn't water also help with cooling the mech down for dudes that generate a lot of heat?
it does. It does.
Does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
in the lore of it, you have what are called heat sinks, which are not like heat sinks on a computer. They're actually more like a radiator, like in a car.
Mm-hmm.
And the denser the medium the heat sink's expulsion area is,
Mm-hmm.
the better it can release heat. Now,
Yeah.
this is weird in the case of the video games because back in MechWarrior 2 days, if you were in space, you barely generated heat because like it's cold in
Space.
space.
Yeah.
But then, like more recently, if you're in space, you're like, well, you can't dissipate heat, so it's going to take a long time to dissipate that heat. So it goes back, but this is not that you're in a vacuum and you can't put where you pushing the heat out to. But so but yeah, when you're in water, basically the denser the medium your heat sinks are in, the better it works. So if you're in a really cold environment, heat sinks lore wise get a bonus, and like all that stuff. And if you're in water and you submerge your legs, which is where some heat sinks are, they can work so effective that again, this is more of a lore thing, but mech warriors can actually turn off or modulate how effective their heat sinks are where they're located. So if they're submerging their mech and warrior to be just a turret, they can actually turn off the heat sinks on the top of the mech and just have full power to the bottom heat sinks, and it'll work just as effective, if not more so. And all that does is let them make a less heat profile because all the heat blooms going into the water. But to get nerdy on it, but but yeah, water has its effects. And that's the thing, right? Like this. So you had a Griffin, right, in your group. Mm-hmm. That Griffin, what was PPC LRM5 or something like that? The typical Griffin, or was it like?
Yeah, I think it was a stock Griffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so like, but that PPC that it has, ×3 is on the Awesome and ×2 is on the Warhammer. But like, that's what makes the Awesome not the only thing, but that's what makes the Awesome so dangerous. Is that pretty impressive PPC on the Griffin? It's like, I got 3. What are you doing? And it's just like,
yeah.
So
every
like,
time it was the Awesome's turn, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. No, the Awesome.
But like,
Go on. I'm sorry.
And that like that's why I think part of that, outside of a rules contention with water or something else, it flows because it's not like, well, we need to errata the disintegrator, or we need to errata the eradicator squad or the fire dragons in 40k. When it comes to Battletech, it's like, well, we don't really need to errata the PPC because you could a 30-ton mech can have a PPC and a 100-ton mech can have 4 of them. It's bigger. It has natural downsides. So rule of cool is in full effect with the mechs you take because it's like, that's awesome, I'm gonna take it, and very little meta balance is required because of that fact. It's not a different weapon, it's the same gun, you just have more of it if you're bigger. And I think that helps with the rules.
100%. It's 40k, you have to know your army, plus you have to know your opponent's army. And it's a lot, but it's it's a different type of game. I love it. It's I think it's a fantastic game, but it's different. And one of the big things is, especially if you want to play competitively at any level, you have to know all the other armies on top of your army. It's a lot. Battletech is kind of like you said, like, you know what a PPC does. It's going to do the same thing pretty much across the board on any item, on any mech it's on. There are some variations, but but then the awesome comes in is like, no, you know how you understand how PPC works because I have 3 of them and I'm going to fire them all at once. Bye. Like that's, you're like, oh Jesus. And that's where that, like, I played awesome for the first time and I was blown away. It lives up to the name of being like a zombie mech. That thing just gets hit, takes crits, gets hit, and it keeps on going.
Yes.
Outside of that one, like outside that chance of like outside that time when it got headshotted, which it can happen. It's just amazing, and it plays completely different than the Wolverine that I played, which I like. People like the Wolverine, and I was kind of like middling on it. Maybe I haven't found my setup for it, but there's a huge variation in the mechs themselves and how they play, and not so much in like, oh yeah, PPCs, you know what they are. It's different. Like, you need to know a little bit, but if you look at it across the table and you're like, that's an awesome 3 PPCs, and the guy's like, yeah, you're like, okay, I know what to expect, 100%.
And going off of that, now this is a question for you two, not necessarily me, because I've only played with one mech, which is the Shadowhawk. But this goes for you two, and this goes for everyone in the comments. Favorite mech?
I'm not going to choose my favorite child. What's wrong with you?
So you're playing a game. What's the first mech you're thinking of running?
I think we've spoken
no
before.
Holds barred? Like, no restrictions? Like, we're not talking succession, we're talking like...
just whatever mech you want. He's got visual aids.
Bringing this guy in.
Oh, there she is. Yep.
Because you can't go wrong with the Timberwolf Prime. You just can't go wrong with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, hold on one second. I'll get my favorite mech. Hold on 1 second.
In the chat, Christy says a Highlander.
Ooh, Highlander is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The
name sounds really cool. I could get behind a mech named the Highlander.
It's a cool mech. Yeah.
What's even cooler is that the mech's called the Highlander, and there's a really prestigious mercenary unit called the Northwind Highlanders. So and they tend to field Highlanders a lot.
I was just about to say, if they don't field at least one, I'd be very upset.
This is what happens when you put 2 clanners in a conversation. Not as big, but yeah, my favorite. The Timberwolf Prime.
The Timberwolf.
Like, just an absolute...
So many people give it the eye roll because when it's so popular and so iconic that it's the symbol of the invasion era. Like, literally, it's the symbol. Like, it's just so good. To be perfectly honest, unless I see that mech, I don't know if what I'm talking about is Battletech. It's so iconic. It's 75 tons. So it's a heavy mech. So it's 5 tons less than the Awesome. But it packs...
Moves like a medium mech.
It moves like a medium mech, and it packs so much firepower. So I don't think you see Matt, I don't think you've seen the Gargoyle, but the Gargoyle, the Timberwolf, and the Naga, just because I have to bring it up, are 3 mechs that came out at the same time. Okay. All came out to replace a mech called the Woodsman. The Gargoyle is an 80-ton mech, so it's an assault mech. That's the lowest assault mech weight. But the Gargoyle isn't packing as much armor or as much firepower as the Timberwolf, which is 75 tons. So, like, like it has 2 ER large lasers, 2 ER medium lasers, and medium pulse lasers, 2 machine guns, and 2 LRM-20s. It's just like I came to party, and it's just like
Yes, I have a present for all occasions. Yeah,
yeah.
So for
And,
me,
yeah.
oh, go on. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just like it's like there's a reason it's the clan mech that everybody knows about. Like it's
Yeah, it's. You know, I wasn't playing the game when clans and all that happened. I just started playing the tabletop proper about a year ago. But I mean, I grew up playing MechWarrior 2 on the PC, right?
So good.
And even in that, man, when the Timberwolf just showed up, it was like, oh Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
And reading about the lore and going back and just like, you know, the Inner Sphere, just you know, the clans coming in and saying, okay, you know, let's see what these guys can do, and they're like, really, you know, it brings me back actually to the video game that just came out, MechWarrior 5 Clans.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah, when you know and obviously you know you play as the clans and your clan was it the Smoke Jaguar?
That's my clan. No, they're not. But
Really?
they're my favorite clan. I've loved them
Really?
since '93.
Okay. So so you're playing as them, and they come across a Hatchet Man for the first time, and you know I'll just explain to Matt. Yeah, and a Hatchet Man is it's a melee mech, and it literally runs around with this giant axe, Hatchet Man, right? And they destroy it, and they go to them. There's like this cross chat that basically is like, so you're telling me that the most advanced mechs for the Inner Sphere are the ones running around with sticks? And it's pretty funny. I can only imagine what the game state and just everything in general must have been like when the clan showed up, not only in the lore but on the tabletop, because like you said, the Timberwolf is an absolute monster.
It's it's so good. But yeah, that Hatchet Man, which is so the Hatchet Man came out in like 3010 or 3025. It was like the newest. It was one of the newest mechs produced by Inner Sphere in like literally over a century. And that mech is newer than the X-Man, which is a heavier, bigger version that also has a big axe. So the Inner Sphere loves melee weapons. The clans hate melee with mechs. They feel it's dishonorable. They feel like the whole point of the mech is to shoot things, so shoot the thing. But but they look at it and they went, it took them centuries to graft a stick to a mech. Just how bad have things gotten out here?
Yes. It gave me a chuckle, like, you know, not knowing a ton about the lore, but just seeing that little snip, I was just like, oh man, this is great.
Yeah. But yeah, the Timberwolf is that mech broke the mold for what it is. Like even if people call it a Mad Cat, which is called that because it's because Phelan Kell Wolfhound targeting computer was trying to target the Timberwolf. It was the first Inner Sphere time they saw a clan mech was a Timberwolf. It's trying to target it, and the battle computer is like, it's a Marauder. No, it's a catapult. No, it's a Marauder.
Yep.
No, it's a catapult. And it's like, so the Commissar is like, screw it, we'll just call it a Mad Cat because we don't know what the hell it is. And it's just like, and that's what I really like about the lore. A lot of the mechs during the invasions when the clan first came in will have the clan's true name of the mech, and then what the Inner Sphere called it, because they're like, we don't know what this is. And it's just
awesome.
like,
yeah, that's awesome.
So like the Warhawk is called the Masakari because they were like, I don't know what that is. It's just like you have the Direwolf is Daishi. It's like, because again, Draconis Compound is like, whatever that is killing us. Let's give it a name proper of killing us. And that's what they did. But if I had to pick an Inner Sphere mech, though, it would either be the Awesome or the Flashman, because the Flashman's hilarious.
If we're gonna do Inner Sphere, it would be the Marauder, or I think I'd stick with the Marauder, or maybe the Awesome. But the Awesome's kind of like, what the Awesome does and what the Marauder do is two different things. The Marauder is more toward like how I like things, and I think I'm like I've spoken about this, like, again, to Matt on the side, is that one of the reasons I like Battletech is the mechs look like, obviously it's science fiction, but they look functional in terms of when you put them against something like, you know, Gundam, and I love Gundam. I'm building one right now. But you look at the mechs and you're like, they're cool, but that serves no purpose to have feathers on a mech, you
Yeah.
know? And whereas in BattleTech, mechs like um, especially like the Marauder, that looks like something that, yeah, like,
It can
I could
walk.
see that being real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big
Yeah.
walker with a giant cannon and like two arm cannons. Like, whew, yeah.
It definitely feels more like if you were to ask me which sci-fi mech series do you think we would build ourselves into, I would probably say BattleTech is where we'd be building ourselves into. Because heck, look at what was it? Megabot. Megabot looked like
Yeah.
it could fit into the BattleTech universe. Did they? I
Yeah.
think they used like the tutorial dialogue for their promo video when he was running through the
Probably.
obstacle course. He was like
I
running
would
through
be-
an obstacle course, and the way they were talking, it sounded like they were trying to mimic a tutorial in one of the Mech Warrior games.
That's pretty funny.
You never
I-
saw
I-
that?
I can't recall the audio, so
Ah.
it's like it was.
And I don't know if you were here too, Matt, but when Jack kind of told us too that, Mech Warrior is our timeline, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, BattleTech is our timeline. Our GM, is around in the Mech Warrior time, and they make engines and mech parts and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like GM is a manufacturer in the far future, too.
Ford's
General
also in
Motors will
there.
never die.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that are in there still. It's our timeline. Slightly, it's parallel, but it's almost directly touching. And the only reason I say that is back in 2005, the timeline goes all the way back to World War II in BattleTech. It doesn't say
That's
much
crazy.
about that time, but it
That's
goes
crazy.
from there forward, and it starts
Right.
diverging after World War II. So like there's that. So in BattleTech timeline, in around 2000s, there's a second Cold War.
Okay.
The Soviet Union eventually comes back. It's no longer Russia. The Soviet Union comes back for a period of time.
Okay.
By 2018, the professors Kearney and Fushida release a paper about faster than light travel that gets absolutely ridiculed. A century later, it's what's used to go faster than light in BattleTech setting. And by this time, actually 2022, I think humanity has mastered fusion power to the point where they're using it to power military equipment already, and energy-based equipment by 2025. So that's why I say it's our timeline, like super adjacent, like super close. It just diverges a little bit in terms of tech. But other than that, yeah, it goes all the way from World War II all the way to 3152 plus.
And
That's
that's
awesome.
why he is a level 5 Grandmaster lore man.
Oh yeah, no. Listen. With all the space in my brain that 40K lore takes up, I don't know if I could get everything that is another 40-plus-year-old franchise.
Yeah.
With all the lore and all of it. Like, I mean, this has got to be just as dense as 40K
Oh,
in terms of quantity and just everything that's going on.
It's absolutely as dense because BattleTech's actually older by a few years than 40K.
Yeah.
So BattleTech came out in 1984 as Battle Droid. They had to change the name because Star Wars.
Mhm.
BattleTech sounds better anyway.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
And Battle
So
Droid
that-
sound less like a mech you'd pilot.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
think it all worked out. So they came out in 84. I came out in 85. So I got into BattleTech in 93 by happenstance and by literally just happenstance. So I credit it with being I've seen Star Wars as a kid probably before BattleTech. I've seen Transformers and stuff like that. But I credit BattleTech as being like the first setting that I really went, I can follow this, and there's more than just this thing, and I don't, and it just hooked into me, and so I've had literal decades worth of time trying to figure out this thing called BattleTech in the lore, but it's so lore dense, but in a good way. And actually, I had this out. This I don't know if you can get it as a physical copy still. You might be able to, but it's a PDF. I think for like $20. It's BattleTech Universe.
Oh boy.
This came out for the 40th year anniversary thing. And the thing that's nice about this book is that it's really a great appetizer sampler of understanding the lore a bit.
Yep.
And it's one of the few books not written in universe. This is the other really cool thing about their source books, their technical readout manuals, and all that jazz. They're written in universe. Like this is a manual for like the Star League general, and you happen to get a look at it. Like it's like as if this is really a thing, and it's super silly, but it's extra immersion, and I love it. It's just like,
Yeah, it is. That's the best. It's silly, but yeah, I love it. Like it's.
I kind of like games that do that a little more. Like, yeah, having the third party narrator telling you everything, is a nice way to get the information out. But I feel like some of those source books, like 40K, just going off of them, the codexes, them being written by someone's point of view, I feel is just that extra layer of immersion that just really pulls you into the setting because they took the time to go, how would they write this if they were telling someone in their universe about this?
And it's a great safety net because if you're doing it that way, and let's say you yourself as the company who now is stewards of this IP because they're not the original people who made it, who have it now, which is fine. But write a book from a certain perspective and you forget about something from another faction, people might call you and be like, well, this is written from somebody else's point of view. They didn't know that. Yeah. It's like a great little cover up. It's like, oh, well, it's fine. We're all fine here.
It's a great way to change information or forget information because you could just go, well, the person who wrote it didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Battletech as a setting goes, what I think, I give it props for two reasons. A, it's human on human. Like, there's nothing darker for humanity than humanity deciding to destroy itself. It's the whole Battletech premise. Mm-hmm. So, no, I mean, there's this one book about this one sentient bird species, and they're completely in a separate vacuum. Like, they're basically as far away from non-canon while being canon. So they don't count. But, like, but it's basically just humans. Now, they're aliens. There's literally the Nova Cat from Clan Nova Cat is an actual animal, and it's an animal discovered on a planet. So you have alien fauna and flora. You just have
there's no
there's just people as the most sentient dominant species that thus far, right?
Yep.
And I think that's really impressive, especially in a sci-fi setting where you're like, yeah, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with things that have like Protoss and Zerg and Tau and Eldar and all this stuff, like, and we're just people. And secondly, there isn't any magic or supernatural or paranormal. There's urban legends and stuff, and there are zombies.
Do you want to talk about the Black Marauder?
That's a ghost story, the Black Marauder.
I know, I love it.
But you know what's real? The Necromo Nightmare.
Yeah, that's
I read lore. That's canon, and it's scary. But,
that's terrifying.
And there's actual zombies in there, but they did it in a way that it made sense. They went, hey, a bioweapon went horribly wrong. Not horribly right, horribly wrong. And then we have zombies now. And a rampant AI that wants to kill the everything. But we don't talk about that.
They're the Reavers of the setting.
Before
they would make Reavers look sophisticated.
But it's the same thing, you don't talk about them.
Exactly. But it's funny bringing
they're talking about how and they're talking about how in that particular thing, Matt, they're talking about those. They're not they retain the skills they had as humans.
Yeah.
So you're going to get what is in effect a zombie mech because the pilot is just going off of what they remember, and now you're fighting this mech. That's piloted by
a zombie.
But the thing is, it's very sluggish. But what makes it work it's what I and some people on the internet have called just perfect sci-fi ham and cheese. It's so ham and cheese.
Yes.
But
so good.
Because the pilot of mech, you have to wear a neural helmet, and it reads your brainwaves. It's jacked into your mind on a surface level. So the pilot is effectively a zombie. They're effectively past tense as a person, but the body biologically is still active. So the brain's still active, and the aggression is there, and they can rudimentarily control their mech, and then the mech battle computer picks up on your neural brainwaves and tensions and allows the mech to be steady and charge and do things. And the scariest one is the proto-mech,
which is insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and the proto-mechs, because this was Werder Blake that attacked, and they're like Mechanicum, but with war crimes in a universe where war crimes kind of matter, unlike 40K. Um, so the pilot is cybernetically grafted. Is a cybernetically augmented human with no limbs grafted into the protomech, which is like a Tau battlesuit in terms of size and stuff. So it's their body now, and those on planet are infected as a zombie. Now, the zombie's base need is to feed. Guess what the protomech pilot can't do, but is supported by life support biologically. They can't actually eat, but they try.
Oh my god! Yeah.
So this humanoid giant battlesuit is gonna chase you down, grab you, and try to stuff you into its non-existent mouth. It's disturbing.
That is kind of disturbing, especially when you see it happening.
Yeah. There's a great bit of lore in that pamphlet in the very beginning. A soldier running for his life from this protomech that's hurling trucks and stuff at him, trying to get to him. And it has an external speaker, and it's just wailing and screaming in anger. And it's like, that's not unsettling at all.
That's terrifying. Yeah. I like it's a lot. It's a big ask because it's hard to get in games with this, like get together and do gaming for the things that we normally do, like 40K and just the random board games and like Magic, all these things that we do. It's hard to just get in time for that. So to ask my friends in the group to try like Battletech is a big ask. But if I could, I would have loved to run that module. Because this is the other thing, Matt. What he's talking about, that is for the RPG. Oh yeah. There's a full-on tabletop RPG that fully integrates with the board game and with the
battle game,
war
the
games.
minis.
And when I read that, it blew my mind. Like I'm like, it turns every one of these books into now a source book. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy to say, hey, listen, we're going to start a merc company. We have rules for that. Don't worry about it. We got you. We're going to start a campaign. Don't worry, we got you. We have the rules for that. We're going to set it in our own universe. Don't worry, we have the rules to make your own universe. And we're also going to run an RPG. Don't worry, we have the rules for that. Oh, and just so you know, there's 2 RPGs. Pick which one you want to use. So it's amazing.
And going off of that, it's like doing that is, I don't think a lot of people or a lot of companies realize just how powerful that can be. So like, when I did a Death Watch game, and you have your 40K mini because, you could use the same and they're booming around. But at one point, I used Battlefleet Gothic to represent them going to a planet, and they had to fight in a Battlefleet Gothic game. So they had like a dumbed down version of the rules, and the amount of like, holy crap, we're getting to play a game in a game, like that is something that gets a lot of war gamers going. And I feel like that's something that's very massively not used at often. The fact that, like, when you said, there's a Battletech RPG, I was like, you could do all the battles with the game, and then you're like, and it uses the game to use the battles. Like, well, there you go.
Like I said, there's 2. There's a Time of War, right, which is like the full-on, like, a good example of it is classic, right, to Alpha Strike, right? And then there's another one called Mech Warrior, which is, from what I understand, a little bit rules lighter. Funny thing is like there are, I think, 10 or 11 rule books, and that's the
Mech Warrior
Destiny.
This is the rules light version.
Yeah, I think
there you can tell by the book size.
I think there's 10 or 11 rule books to BattleTech now. I have them all on my bookshelf, and I'm trying to slowly go through them, but each one is so it's insane. Like, rules to generate an entire galaxy, that's a thing. Like I said, like, it's the amount of scalability and how you want to play, and you make the game how you want it, is amazing. It's a testament to design that I don't think gets a lot of credit because
and that's the crunchy one.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's source books for them. There's like it's amazing. It's
where it gets a little confusing is there's also a book like this that's called Mech Warrior the RPG, but like it's the same premise of being crunchy. It's just I don't know of another setting that does it that way, to be honest. Like, you want to play a miniature game and a war game at a tabletop role playing game, like not literally at the same time, but seamless. It's like, Yes, please.
Yeah,
That?
that would be a game I would be totally down for to play
Well,
on the RPG, just because
oh,
of that whole
we're gonna.
integration.
I don't know about the RPG because that might be a bridge too far for some of the people in our group because
Oh
it's a
yeah,
lot.
it
But
is.
we're totally like gearing up to
Campaign.
do a campaign and to make merc companies and like roll around the galaxy and just
I gotta,
be
I
bad
gotta,
guys or good guys or whatever.
I gotta pick a faction now. So I gotta pick a
No, you
faction.
can make your own too.
Yeah, I gotta pick one so I can paint these guys up. So I could do a painting
Oh,
tutorial on this on the channel
sure.
about this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I gotta find one.
that's a that's, one of the things about BattleTech, and now, firstly, I think I call BattleTech as a setting, as a universe, right? Because like it's so integrated with itself. The
hmm
video games are apocryphal. They're not considered canon, but like if you want just a quick, I want to experience what BattleTech is, you play a MechWarrior game. You're like, if that doesn't get your blood pumping for like for giant robots are awesome, then
Oh
you
yeah.
just don't like
Yep.
giant robots. But
Yeah.
like,
Well,
but,
you dig giant robots, and I dig giant
I dig
robots.
giant robots.
We
So
dig
like,
giant
dig
robots.
giant robots.
Yep.
Nice. But like,
No.
so you do that, but like I feel like BattleTech, I call it a hidden gem of a universe. Like you have to take extra steps to even uncover what the heck it is in terms of the miniature or the rule or the RPG, because like it's not necessarily always gonna be on the shelves next to 40K, Age of Sigmar,
Yep.
or Flames, or whatever it is. Like
No.
a couple of stores I've seen it, it's not even on a shelf; it's in a bookshelf, like the box
Yep.
set,
Yeah.
which is really, and also on top of that, I consider it to be a very economical game. The introductory
Oh,
box
please.
set's like
Absolutely.
$60,
Yeah.
and you get
Absolutely.
like a
Yep.
whole bunch of mechs and everything.
Well, like
The
a prime example, James, when I showed you, I picked this up. The first thing you said wasn't, "Okay, now you need to get this, this, and that."
Yeah, that was like,
No.
that's it. You're
No.
good to go
Yep.
now. It's like-
I mean, they had the box. They had the box. I think it was a Target exclusive or a Kmart exclusive. I forget.
I remember
have it,
Target had
like
a
I said,
box
like,
set.
yeah.
It's probably Target. It was called Essentials, and it was maybe $20, right? And it was 2 mechs. But what it gave you was an arena, and it had special rules for arena, and that was such like to say, listen, here's $20. You're gonna get 2 mechs. You're gonna get all the rules. You're gonna get everything you need to play at that level. But
Yep.
we're just telling you now, the end game to this is universe-sized, multi-year battles with an RPG. Is like
It's insane.
okay,
It's
yeah,
insane.
it's really insane. And to like I said, like that's why I think BattleTech is like one of those, like you said, it was like an underrated gem as far as like the lore and the setting and whatnot. Also, too, just the design. I get when people play it, if they have any experience with war games, you start playing it, and I immediately felt that yeah, this is an old design. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying I can see how this is the same,
Yeah.
how this would have played out in the 80s because when it came out, this is very probably, you know what I mean?
Oh,
And that's not a
100%.
bad thing. It's a strength. It's a weakness. It's a strength. But it's a testament to the fact that they're just like, yeah, listen, we're not going to really FAQ a lot of stuff. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep on adding to it. And me and you, or the three of us, we're going to sit down and play a game. Us three decide what we're going to use to make our game work for us. And that's incredible.
It says a lot when you don't have to, when you can keep the same game going for so long and
Yes.
not go, okay, we need to just reset everything and start from scratch.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's
it can get like the classic BattleTech game can do just about anything it wants to do, including play visually like a modern miniature war game. I have in the Time of War book, there's rules to play it hexless, no grid, put terrain
Yes.
down, play.
Yeah.
And the grid is nice because one of the nice things I like having 3D of that like grid list for the visuals of like look at that movie quality.
Yeah.
But like the nice thing about the grid is like you said, facing. You don't need like if you have a arc weapon or a template weapon, you don't need to worry about is it in template. You use the grid, and the grid's
Right.
like, this
Yes.
is it. You hit it or you don't hit it.
Yep.
You're getting hit on the side because this is the facing, and that's how it works, or whatever the case might be.
And it's easy to measure range. Just go count the squares.
Yeah, and you got it. So the but like it can do everything, and it's immersive. It's as crunchy as you want it to be, and get everything across. It's a hidden gem, like I said, and I do feel like the power fantasy is there, but this is just an opinion based thing. I think perhaps one of the reasons why it stays a bit of a hidden gem is, well, twofold. I think marketing team for CGL and PGI just aren't trying. And I don't mean that as a jerk move. I just mean like MechWarrior 5 Clans, if you didn't actively know about it, you would have missed this launch. Like,
Yeah.
That's unacceptable in my opinion.
Now,
Yeah.
But like,
You're talking about the video game?
yeah.
Yeah.
Which you're playing on your own channel right now, right? You're playing through that?
I've done Smoke Jaguar. I've done the Ghost Bear. I've done the playthroughs of those 2 campaigns are up there. I did Smoke Jaguar just with story mode for fun. I did Ghost Bear as an expert.
I don't know how you did that. That's impressive. That was such like just the clan stuff in general was such a change from Mercenaries.
Yeah.
Like Mercenaries is slower. It's less dangerous. Clan on expert. God bless. That sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I haven't finished it yet. I reached a wall, and I want to finish it. But I was doing the Smoke Jaguar campaign. I went from tutorial all the way to when you first unlocked the Direwolf on Trueborn.
And I practically ask this question every time the two come up. MechWarrior and Battletech are the same, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
MechWarrior is what someone that pilots a mech is.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why the games are called that, because you pilot
because you're playing as a MechWarrior, so that's why it's not called Battletech.
Yeah. Right. Now the Battletech 2018 game is a turn-based tactics game.
Yes.
All Battletech is really good.
Yeah.
My favorite game that I would love to see get a remake just to work on modern machines, don't change a thing, was Mech Commander. Mm-hmm. That was so hard. Not my favorite. My favorite is Tactics. I love Mech Warrior. It's my favorite. But like, Mech Commander was just so cool. But Battletech is so much more forgiving because it's turn-based. You have time to breathe, and you're like, all right, let's see what's gonna happen here.
Yeah.
But the thing about the video games, even the one named Battletech, is that whenever a conflict of canon pops up, let's just say how a battle concludes, because the video game's like, you're gonna win it or whatever, or you're gonna do whatever, the lore canon defers to published books. So if the story is written a certain way in a source book or a novel, that is the canon compared to the video games. The video games are considered an apocryphal tale, like a hyped up tale. Like, this is what went down, more or less.
This was what could happen.
Yeah, because what they're saying is, and they actually came out and said this, is like, well, if you play the video game, you can beat that mission 10 ways a Sunday, but the way it actually gets beaten may not include any of the mechs you use at all, right? So that's the idea behind it. And what's crazy about this is literally what's published. So I own the Twilight of the Clans novel series. It's an 8-book novel series, I think. I have them all somewhere. I forget what's it.
That's awesome.
But that book was recently, and you can buy it now as an ebook, digital book with a 9th epilogue book that's not part of it, but written later. The thing is, I don't know why this is, the digital release of Twilight of the Clans is not the same one that was published physically. It's like the version prior to it. I have no idea why, but they came out and said the events might be depicted slightly different in the digital books. The end result's the same because it's this novel series. So if there's any question in regards to what is canon, the actual physical books are the canon, not the digital book. And I'm like, wow, you guys are really getting specific here.
Yeah, seriously, holy moly.
And if anyone is interested, just in case they haven't own it yet or not, all the Battletech and MechWarrior games are on sale right now on Steam. You can get Battletech for $9.99, and you can get
soon,
what?
And if you are.
Yep, that's ending in 40 hours. And MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries is $11.99.
Which just got its DLC announced.
Yep.
Yeah. Blood of Kerensky.
That game came out. Yeah, that game came out in Shadow Kerensky came out in 2019, and this was the and when that game came out, this was the DLC. Everybody's like, "When's it happening?" And it's finally happening.
And
so, just tell you, Matt, the thing about MechWarrior and MechWarrior Mercenaries and Clans is that Mercenaries it has a campaign, but basically everyone kind of gets past that because at that point it's just open world. Like you
Okay.
can start your own mech company and just travel across the universe, taking contracts, doing like everything, like gaining favor with one house, this unlocking this mech, getting special mechs. This is a lot to it. Mech Warrior Clans, which is it's a separate game, is a
On the
very
rails into
story.
story.
Yeah, it's a very story driven game. It's
Mm.
very good story, and it's very, very good. But what people wanted was, listen, we want the clans in the campaign, because once you hit 30, 50, you want the clans to show up. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen. You just keeps on going, and now they're basically saying, yeah, the clans are coming to the campaign. That's basically what's happening. So
So mercenaries is so battle MechWarrior 5 clans. You're a clan warrior. You're part of the clan's tumen, the military arm, and you have the backing of the clan behind you. So you don't have to manage your expenses because
Yeah.
you're not running a company,
Yeah.
right? Mercenaries is very light on the simulation of running a company. You have monthly or quarterly expenses. Battletech 2018, which was great, but nothing's going to happen with it anymore. That's what we call the turn-based table game.
Yep.
Battletech 2018.
Yeah, that's same.
That one's a lot.
2018 RIP.
Yeah, RIP to that.
Yeah.
But that one is a lot more in depth on the sim side because it's not a simulator combat game; it's a tactics game.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries has the added step of you have to manage your mercenary company.
Yep.
And now that timeline is going to go all the way to 3057, which is impressive, because that's well beyond what Clans is. Clans is very story driven, like you said. It's cinematically story driven. Like the amount of cutscenes and the gloriousness of those cutscenes is, for what it is, it's pretty great.
Very like very specific maps. You're not going to go and see. It's unfortunate, but you'll sometimes see like reused assets and maps in like I want to say mercenaries, which isn't a big deal. I mean, they have
because they're I forget what they call it. It's not procedurally, but they generate the maps because the mission, like you might play through it, and we might be in the same year at the same world, but have two different contracts. So they generate those contracts like randomly. So that's why you might have some reused assets. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, like one's very story driven. Like to bring it back to Jack, like he's straight up said he's like I kind of enjoy mercenaries more. Now I enjoy clans more because of the story and also too it's hilarious. But they really hit the nail on the head when they said like, hey, listen, clan weapons are better. Like that like like laser boats as they're called. There's a I mess a lot whenever I play the Mech Warrior games. I spend hours in the mech lab just building mechs, right? And laser boats and energy boats in clans. So just like mechs that just use all energy weapons are like there's a mech called the Nova, and I just throw a bunch of I throw a bunch of small lasers on it, 14 of them, and you're like, oh, that's not too bad. But it doesn't overheat on Alpha Strike, so I can fire all my weapons. It's brutal. Like you can't do that in the original game because of how laser weapons work. They're so inefficient. In this game, it's brutal.
They had now this is something I didn't expect to see. They had to patch this predominantly single player game to nerf the clan lasers, and the only ones that have access to clan lasers are the players.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
So like against AI, they had to make us not as good because the ER small. Put it this way, they do everything in meters. So I believe the small laser, the large laser in MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, I believe is 450 meters is the range it tells you. It's a little bit further than that, but that's like its effective range. I think it's got like maybe a 600 meter effective range or something like that. Mm-hmm. When MechWarrior 5 clans first came out, that was the effective range of the small laser for clans. It was 600 meters. That was their maximum range. I'm sorry. The maximum range for the clans was 600 meters. The maximum range on their ER large laser is like 1,200 meters. You still have such long range, you can't zoom in far enough to be accurate at those ranges. The clans, and that's not just for the video game. That's the video game's showcasing of the lore, which is in the rules too. Yeah. Like we're talking about a group the way they conduct warfare is just to briefly break it down is the clans go, I want to, in the invasion of the Innisphere, like, I'm gonna invade this world. Okay, we're gonna invade this world. Let them know we want to invade them. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, issue a battle challenge, call a patrol, and tell them they get to pick. Tell them they get to pick where they're gonna defend, and then they tell us what they're gonna defend with.
Yeah.
And then we, behind the scenes, will bid amongst ourselves to fight them with the smallest amount possible to still achieve victory.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah.
It's just like, and it's like,
Sounds
sorry,
like
what?
trying to win a contract.
It's exactly what they're doing. And the
100%.
thing is, like, again, on Turtle Bay, Turtle Bay basically said, we're going to fight you with everything. And the clan said, okay, we're going to fight you with a cluster, which is not everything, by a long shot. And it's just like, I'm sorry, excuse me? And and they did this, and they were winning by the boatload against the Inner They only lost 3 total worlds, and one of them was
well, that's, I was gonna say, the whole thing with Tookie it's a little weird when you read it because of all the clan, like,
politics,
how clans run things, which is kind of, I'm just gonna say it, insane. You know, it's just absolutely insane. It's
against the rules to help each other. If you're a clan, you only help your own clan. You can't help your ally clan.
Yes.
Okay.
It's against the rules to the clan.
And the penultimate in this battle, right, Matt? This battle, which basically was going to decide the entire fate of the Inner at that point, when the clans invaded, had all these really weird arbitrary rules that were set up between Comstar and the clans, where if you read them, you'd be like, this sounds more like almost like a game of 40K, because you have all these really weird, okay, you have to hold this city, and you have to hold this city, and now the Ghost Bears have to hold this city, and it was wild. But you know, like, there was also there's another faction there called Comstar, who you could spend hours just talking about them. Yeah.
Pay your phone bill on time. That's the meme for them. Pay your phone bill.
Yeah, pretty much.
And communications everywhere.
And they were able to stop. Well, they were able to stop most of the clans. They didn't stop all of them, but in stopping those clans, they won the Battle of Tukied, and they basically stopped the clans for 5 years, I think, from invading.
15.
That was the thing.
It was going to be for 15, but after 5, the Innisphere started fighting back.
Okay, yeah. So they and that's literally what happened. They just said, okay, if you win here, you have to promise, and you know, the thing with the clans is say what you want about them, but if they say they're going to do something, they'll stick by it. They do have a code of honor. And
the honor is their word, and the word is their bond. If they break their word, they will say, okay, my life is forfeit.
Right. It's a big deal. Even though they have like these, you know, genetically altered eugenic lunatics. If they say I'm not going to bother you, and you have my word, they will not bother you. So they agreed to this, and then they had to basically literally stop where they were, or some of them actually retreated. It's really wild. Like, it's over the top. I'm sorry, but I love all this stuff.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And when you read the rules, you realize, you would think, why would the clans agree to this? All these rules are to hamper them. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Yep.
And the whole word is their bond thing. Like, Smoke Jaguar lost the world of Walcott. It's one of only 2 worlds that were failed to be taken. The other one was by J Falcon, and they didn't fail to take it; they lost it afterwards. But part of that bit is like, okay, if we win, we take the planet. But if we lose, we can no longer try to take this planet anymore. And the Draconis Combine worked a deal to say, you're going to give us examples of your tech, like, intact. And the clan, and they agree, and they do, and then and it was a massive trap, right? So the super elite force was posing as a green force, so they didn't know what they were up against because it was all deceit and betrayal. But whatever, right? You're trying to defend your homeland. But so the clan lost, and true to their word, they gave them the tech and they left the world. Like,
it's
it
wild.
wasn't like, haha, we blow you up anyway, which they could have clearly done, because they have warships, and the Innisphere at this time had none. So it's just like, it's an insane world.
It is fantastic, but it's absolutely pants on head insane.
Yeah, and all that came from trying out the Battletech miniature game on Classic Battletech.
Which, like I said, after playing it once, I would definitely play it again. That was, that was.
To it.
Yep. Oh no, I'll definitely play. Like I said, I got to paint these minis up. I got to first pick I gotta first pick a faction to play as, and commit to a color scheme. And then once I do, I will get some videos up of me painting those.
If you want, really quick, a great resource is Camo Specs Online.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
just discover those guys.
Yep.
And maybe I'll paint the quad mech on this guy, because quad mechs are super rare, it seems.
They're very, very uncommon. You have the Scorpion, which
Yep.
is what you have, and then you have
Yep.
like one called like the Stallion, and then you wonder why did they make this? I don't understand. But
Oh my
but
god,
you know,
there's so much to go over. I mean, we're talking about quad mechs. We could talk about lambs. We could
Yep.
talk about
Lambs.
yeah. We could talk about that hilarity. Like I've been listening to podcasts about like this is not what happened with those things, and it's just like pure insanity. Lambs are basically like mechs that can change into flying, like can fly. They can change into like jets or whatnot.
Kind of like Robotech.
And
They're more basically.
yeah.
Or
and there's one that I
lacrosse for
have.
the Puritans.
There's one that I have, and I'm very proud to say it's the Irby, and it's Irby Lamb, and
The Irby
they
Lamb.
just and they just released official sheets for it, like literally like 2-3 days ago. So I can't wait to put that thing on the table and be like, and now I go into fly mode and just zoom around.
You just
with
broke
the
James.
most useless-
It's the urban mech gets no respect.
It's a meme.
It's a meme for all the different reasons that the Fire Moth is a meme.
Yeah.
The Fire Moth is a meme because his arms are up here and all weird, and it's IM speed. The Urban Mech's a meme because it's slower than Assault Mechs, and it's a light mech.
Yeah. And it's useless. It's useless, but
I have to. I hope. I don't know the rules for the Lamb. I hope it's it's got to be the fastest Urban Mech, but I hope it's the slowest Lamb because it would definitely be so fitting.
Yeah. Any other lamb, any other time, from what my understanding is if like you bring a lamb to a table, most people are gonna be like, no, because the rules are kind of like really jank, and they're just not really. It's not really a good rule set based on like a few different things. But but the urban mech's different. Like I think if you bring that to the table, people are like, yes, 10 more please, because they're just I don't know what it is. Like people love the urban mechs for being just a hunk of junk.
They're walking trash cans, like not just like they're because they're bad. Because honestly, for what they are, they're not bad at all. The problem is you're never in an environment to use what they are.
Yes.
So
Yes.
There's a saying in Battletech, that's as slow as an urban mech going uphill through difficult terrain, which is slow. So it's what's the? I think it's top speed is all in kilometers. Is like 36 kilometers per hour or something like that, and like and that's like a 100-ton assault mech from like the olden days speed, like. And I think they're going at least 40 kilometers. Like, it's stupidly slow. It doesn't have enough ammunition for its gun. It doesn't have enough armor to take a hit in retaliation. And it looks like a trash can with guns on it. It's
all hail the Irby.
It's fantastic. It's the Irby, and everybody loves the Irby, and everybody hates the Irby.
Yep.
And so...
And that's what's so great about it, right? Because, like, you could field it, and they can actually do okay against certain targets, right? Like, you're not gonna if you went up against your Shadow Hawk or Griffin, it'd be like, I'm so screwed. If you went up against the Awesome could probably charge it and punch it because it's that slow. But but it can mow down vehicles. It can mow down vehicles. Like it's a defensive unit, and it's kind of like you can find a place for it. There's a place for everything, and everything has its place in Battletech, and you can't quite say that for like true meta builds and like other games. Like, not just miniature war games, but like Magic the Gathering. You can't. Nobody's running Blood Funnel in anything. Like back in the day when that was a thing, and and like 40k. If you want to actually the closest thing, I think Horus Heresy is like for the fluff, right? That's like their war cry, and it works. Yeah. Because the rules allow it to work, which is good. But like, it's just the urban mech is very endearing. So much so that I think there's a whole it's a whole Lance box set of nothing but urban mechs.
There is. I will say that I own it. I bought the Battle Force. It's like I think there was a larger one where it was like literally like 12 to 18 of them, but that was before I got into Battletech. But I bought the newest one, which was like a force pack, of like you said, a lance of like 5 urban mechs, which I mean, I would love to put them on the table just to say like, okay, and everyone just goes like this, like Jesus Christ, like, like okay, I guess we're beating up on toddlers today.
And so we are sadly coming to the end of our time frame for this. So, any closing thoughts from you guys?
Uh, I mean, because I'll go first because I'm sure he's got. I'll just say that if you are thinking about trying BattleTech or you're interested in it, give it a shot. It's a fantastic game. It has a lot to offer. You can play it at almost any level. I only have 20 minutes. You can get a 20-minute game in with the right rule set. Oh, I want to play something for a year and a half. You could do that too. It's fun. It's challenging. It's just a fantastic game that I think more people should play.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. It's a shame. In the '90s, BattleTech was at its height. It honestly, I mean, now I don't know metrics. You could say it's more popular today than it was then in terms of numbers. Whatever. Here's the deal: the only thing BattleTech didn't have in the '90s was a movie. It had a cartoon show. It had toys based on that cartoon show. It had a comic book series based on that cartoon show. It has its novels. It has its manager game. It had a variety of video games at this time. MechWarrior 2 has been ported and redone over 30 times. Officially, not unofficial stuff. Like, it's crazy. And it had the virtual world mech simulator pods you sit in that were in arcade plexes. Like, it had magazines. The Battle Technology magazine is written in universe. It has fake ads in there for like Triple F burgers and stuff like that. Like it's fantastic. Like it had a collectible card game. I own a bunch of the cards for it. I played it exactly once, and I'm pretty sure I played it wrong. So because I was a kid, but it has all these things, and it's a real shame to me because it did everything that 40K is doing now. Right, and it did it pre-internet being accessible and pre-smartphone. So I am standing on the soapbox to reinforce the sentiment that if you have ever heard of BattleTech in any way, shape, or form, and it generated the slightest bit of interest, give it a real look into. There's a lot of stuff that is outside of the fact that the main box set to start off is like $60, like full retail, and you can probably get it on Amazon for cheaper. There's a lot of free downloads, not just for modules, but like a little short story stuff here and there, just to wet your whistle and do things. There's a lot going that way. There's video games that, even when they're not on sale, are not at AAA prices, right? Yeah. So like, it's one of those settings that if you've ever heard anything about it, good or ill, it's worth checking out because chances are one of the factions, be it a mercenary company that's official, not one you made up, which you can do, or Comstar, or one of the great houses, or one of the periphery states, or one of the clans is going to be like, I like that. I want to learn more about it. And as long as you like it, and you enjoy the visuals, and you enjoy the lore about it, that's all you have to enjoy. You don't have to play if you don't want to, but it's there, and it's pretty accessible.
And it's also one of the few game franchises that when Harmony Gold was at their peak of going after people, were like, no, you can't tell us that you own us.
And they did that after the whole Unseen incident, which hurt them in the 90s.
Oh my god, that's another whole like.
That's a whole podcast on its own.
It's completely over. Everything is seen
good,
now. It's been taken care of, and Harmony Gold can suck it.
But that was one of those things where one thing to their name is they were one of the few companies that said no, we're gonna fight this. And because so many people just backed out of that. But props for them for that. I will say, as a fresh new player who just started this game, like I said, you sit down, it may seem like a lot, but play it. Like, it's one of those games where if you read it, you probably will get intimidated by the rules, but once you play it, you're gonna feel more like, wow, it's kind of impressive how simple to follow this what looks overly complicated piece of paper is telling me.
The paper is very intimidating looking.
And
yes, it is.
and there's so much into it, and like I said, it's very simple to do. And if you have a friend who already is into it, it's going to be that much easier to get into.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth giving it a look, especially if you like big giant mechs and sci-fi combat, and you just want something, just like I said, to kill time. You can do really quick game, really long game, and
Yep.
it's a very interesting type of universe. So I do, as a fresh newbie who just started this, I do highly recommend giving this a look. It is worth. It is worth at least playing one game, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
100%.
worth feeding that curiosity a bit. And if you don't have somebody who's into BattleTech already, you'd probably be surprised that if you went to one of your local gaming stores where people hang out in a game night and you brought it up, someone would be like, "Oh yeah, I like that." And you
Yep.
like you'll be. It's one of those things that it's not, since it's not forecasted. It doesn't. It's not
Yep.
going to be in your face.
It's kind of
But
like one of
once
those underground things, like, Psst, I'm looking for catalyst.
yeah, it's one of those things, but it's and also if let's say you do play something, and the whole concept of the meta has you kind of like PTSD in gaming, don't worry about BattleTech doesn't really have that, because
No.
like we said earlier, everything uses the same gear. It's just
Yep.
how much punishment can it take, how fast can it move, and how much can it shoot.
Mhm.
That's it. And so the rule of cool is in full effect really with BattleTech. There is no real meta to worry about.
That's one thing also, I didn't bring it up that I will mention now. One thing that I enjoyed too was when I was like, okay, I'm going to play a Shadowhawk, it wasn't, okay, what faction?
No.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Well, if you play this faction, this, and this happens, but if you play this faction, this, and that happens. It's all like in the background. It's the
Certain-
fluff.
Yes, I will say at a certain level that does happen. You pick like an era, and then if you pick an era that your mech doesn't exist in, and you're playing. So yeah, you can get into the real like fluff lore end of things.
Yeah.
And that's when you'll be like, no, you can't really do that because. But at the end of the day, the designers and the I forget who it was that owns CGL right now that's licensing Battletech have all said from the get-go, you make the game how you want to play it.
Yep.
We'll give you all these amazing rule books and all this lore, and you can follow it 100%. You could follow it 0%. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's great is like, as once your mech exists, then it's like you want to play the Shadowhawk, which existed like forever, so that's great. But like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, great, you play the Shadowhawk, and then it's like, oh, if you're a faction, it's like, okay, your Shadowhawk does Shadowhawk things, but just so you know, because you're playing this faction, you get a bonus to the thing. It
Yes.
doesn't change the Shadowhawk. You get a bonus or a negative, or a bonus and a
Yes.
negative, and that's about it. So it doesn't get to the point where it's like, oh, you're Blood Angels? All right, well, here's this new rule set. Come here. It's like,
Yeah.
like, all right.
So, with that, let us know, guys, in the chat, like, what's your favorite clan? What's your favorite faction? What do you love about BattleTech and Mech Warrior? I do want to thank Chris for joining us today.
Yeah.
Anytime, Matt. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
And we got to get you back on here again with our buddy Matt so we can talk about what you're building right now, which is Gunpla.
It's a Vidar. It's the MG Vidar.
Ah, nice. Nice.
It's coming together slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. What grade?
MG.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's my it's quickly becoming my favorite. Like MGs are like where it's at for me.
No, those are classic. I love those. Alrighty, so if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you can know when these show up, and give that like button a hit so these videos can circulate and get out there. We would really appreciate it. So, thank you all for watching, and until next time, fearless gamers, take care.